Hello. Thank you for joining me today for Content Creator Podcast. My name is Serge, and this is the podcast for creators of all types who want to know about content creation. We have a phenomenal guest today. American-born counterfeiter and subject of the book The Art of Making Money. He is most known for having counterfeited the 1996 issued $100 bill, the quality of which is on par with the super note. He did 12 years in prison, and while in prison, he read, wrote, invented, and most notably, became a famous artist. After 7 years of freedom, he is now here to share his story. Hello and welcome, Arthurjwilliamsjr.
All right, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing excellent. I'm really excited to have you on today.
Yeah.
The day I met you, I just found out that you are a real creator here. And I just want to ask you some questions so you can share your story with our listeners today.
All right, yeah, let's hear it. Let's go.
Tell me a little bit of your background, how you started as a creator, how you started to create your own art.
Oh, wow. My art or just anything? Can I just go anywhere?
I'm interested in your creative part, right? You started as a creator.
Yeah, I mean, from a kid, I was always always building things. I sketched a lot, loved dragons when I was a kid. And the biggest thing I like to do is the thing I liked the most was when I would tear things apart, right? Like I would take toys and I'd tear them apart and then try to put them back together. And then sometimes I would tear them apart and make a whole nother toy. You know what I'm saying? Like that was like my first time, like really, my mind was always as a kid, just always seeing things, you know, and seeing things differently. Even to the point to where at times I thought I was crazy, right? Because I could see things that other people couldn't see, you know? And my mind was always real visual. Right. And so, you know, since as long as I could remember, there was always that world of fantasy that I could create, you know, and a lot of it had to do because, you know, growing up with my parents, we traveled all over the world or all over the country, you know, and because he was a paper hanger, he used to hang checks. So the world that I was in, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like there was no stability to it, right? So I was never in the same school, but maybe for a couple months, right? And it was, I had to create a world that I could sustain in, you know? And so pretty much just, you know, that was my first, I could say really like creativeness was when I was a kid, to hide the pains that were going on around me, right? Whether my bipolar mother or my dad taking off on us or, you know, never being in the same school long, all these different things, you know, my mind found a way to protect it. You know, unfortunately, my brother and my sister, they didn't make it through as easy, you know. My sister tried to kill herself, jumped out of a window, lost her leg. You know, she's good now, she's strong. My brother, you know, he'd been homeless, even putting him up, but he would run. So they weren't able to handle some of the struggles that we went through, you know? And so creating for me, I think, saved me, right? And then even I've had my struggles. I went to prison, right? Went to prison, spent 12 years of life in prison. And for counterfeiting, for printing, for trying to survive, right?
Let's talk about a little bit about this one, because probably this part, like in 1996, I know that for you it was like the best piece of art you ever created, as I know at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about it. How I understand the money-wise you have to hustle to pay bills and eat, right? But in terms of art and in terms of creation, how you came up with the idea to do exactly this, and what was the learning process to make that happen?
It was Bruce Lee. I Bruce Lee'd him. You know, no, Bruce Lee does have something to do with it though. But you know, for me, you know, my criminal run started when I was young, 12, right? When we ended up homeless, and we actually were at the Salvation Army up north for like 30 days. Then they put us in the projects out south on 31st Street in Bridgeport. And right away, it was a real dark moment, you know, and Dad gone. And one day I came home, my mom was crying and it made me feel, you know, a certain way, you know. I asked her what was going on. She said, I don't know I'm going to feed you. And so I opened up the fridge and there's nothing in there. And she's just a mess. And she's bipolar. She's mentally ill. So on top of not being able to take care of us, she's dealing with her own mental things, you know. And so, you know, for me, I ran out the house and I'm walking down Halsted Street and I'm hitting the meters and I'm hearing the change, you know, ring. And I when I realized there's money in there, I'm like, damn, okay, wait a minute. And I stop and I start playing with it. And I realized there was a method to open them. And I figured out how to do it and I cracked them and I made like $86 or something, right? Man, I was hitting those meters. And I went to Tony's Supermarket, was on 33rd and Halsted, an old Italian dude. And one of those old supermarkets, you know, my neighborhood's Italian, Irish, Asian, you know, and Hispanic, you know, it's like all these mixtures. And so I'm shopping with my little brother and getting all the food. And I put the bag, it was a grocery, you know, plastic grocery bag filled with the change. I put it on, you know, he's like, it's ace, whatever it was. And I put the change on there. I said, well, you know, is this enough? And he looked and he's like, yeah, let's start. And we started counting it. And I remember how excited I was, man, you know, carrying home those groceries, man, you know, the feeling of like pride that I felt, you know, that I was gonna, you know, my mom's crying and she's crying for what I have in my hand, you know? And when I walked in and I had the groceries, my little bro's with me, man, and she sees them, she gets excited, and I put them in the kitchen and we're taking them out, and she's like, you know, how'd you get it? And I said, you know, I got some money, you know. She said, well, how'd you get money? And I'm like, well, I broke into meters, you know. And right away her demeanor changed. She wasn't smiling. My mom was always real strict. She was, you know, we've been to church every Sunday of my life. I was in church up until, you know, 16, 15, you know. And she sent me up to the room, and then she came up and, you know, she's crying. Now I'm feeling really confused, right? Because like she was crying because we didn't have food, and now she's crying and I just brought her home. So I don't know what to think, right? I'm a kid. And she gets in front of me, she says, listen, I don't want you stealing, you know. She said, you know, God will provide. And I said, yeah, he did, man. He showed me how to do this. So even, it's weird, man, because my relationship with something higher than me has always been, even in my crime world, you know. Like I didn't ever want to hurt nobody. That's why I gravitated to counterfeiting, right? Because I didn't have to deal with anybody. I could truly be a ghost, and I was many times. You know, unlike a drug dealer or other criminals, you know, you got to get a product and then you got to sell a product. Now, I could go post up in any city I wanted and just sit there and then maneuver and then leave, and you don't even know I'm there. And that was one of the things that I loved about it the most. That was actually the most addictive part, that I could truly disappear. You know, I truly didn't have to be a part of the madness of what was going on. And that even helped, because everything I would buy, I would make sure it was for kids, because we grew up poor with nothing. So I always loved the kids, man. You know, always giving back to them. And so, you know, the counterfeiting, when it started, man, it started young. I mean, when I was, you know, 15, the first time I printed. But the 96 note, though, that was, you know, I had just went to prison, and I got out. And my girl, she stayed with me while I was gone. Natalie, who I ended up marrying, 22 years, had 3 kids, love her. She was smart, intelligent, fun, my road dog, you know. And she when I got out, I used to, you know, I love Bruce Lee. So when I was in prison, I always liked to study things, you know. And I was there the first time I studied nothing but religion, right? A lot of religious stuff. The second time I studied like history of like the emperors and the kings and the khans and all that. And then you know, of course, this last one was painting and writing, right? So it's weird. Prison was actually my college, you know, and I would just devour books, man. I've probably read 1,000 books in my life, maybe more. I don't know. I know I read every popular mechanics, you know, magazine that they've printed, you know. And so I had a Bruce Lee book, and I was in me and my cellie, we would practice all the moves in there. And we did that for like a year, and I got real crazy with that, man. I was punching cinder blocks, man. I mean, I was an animal, you know. I mean, look at that knuckle. That's from hitting cinder blocks every day for like a year, right? Where I was trying to crack them, you know. And I was, you know, I was a big guy, so, and me and him would just go at it, and we built a really good, you know, friendship. So when I left with my Bruce Lee book. So as soon as I get out, not even like 2 days later, I want to go get another one. And you know, Natalie takes me, and we're going into the bookstore, and we find it, and she pays with 100. And the young girl, she grabs it and just marks it and puts it in the drawer. I'm like, whoa, I didn't even see it, right? Like, I didn't even see the new money really at this point, because I was in prison when it came out. So right away, man, the old days when I was doing it, you know, the old way, started popping in my mind like, damn, man, if someone could figure out how just to market, man, you could make a fortune, right? Because they're not even looking at it. Like back in the day when we did it, they would look at it and inspect it, you know? But if they're just using this marker, man, shit, I'll figure that out. And then that's where the journey began, you know? And like anything else, my mind, you know, like I said, from a kid, I love to tear things apart and then put them back together. And so with the money, it was the same thing. I tore it apart. And I used all the, you know, I've learned in life that, you know, even like when I popped the meters when I was a kid, it was a key that would open it. And so I figured out how to make a piece of metal that acted like the key, and bing, you know? So my mind is always curious, right? But I never knew I could paint. I didn't know that part of it. I didn't even know I could write because I didn't even graduate high school. Right? I know I could talk well. You know, I got a hustler's tongue, you know? Yeah. But so for me, that's where it started with the money. You know, we started right there, and right away I went after the paper to try to figure it out. Took a long time. But, you know, we ended up doing it. We ended up getting the paper, the watermark, the strip, everything. We've conquered every security feature there was, you know? And what's so awesome about even now with my art is I've learned to take all those things that I learned with the counterfeiting to put in my paintings now, right? Like even some of my paintings that I create, I even do shit that is probably even be crazier than shit on the money, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I do wacky shit now, and like invisible diamond ink and all kinds of, you know, like stuff that would be almost impossible to try to replicate. Like I even make paintings, I made like 3 where I put every single fucking security feature in it to see if somebody could fucking copy it in 500 years, right? Like I want to challenge the fucking forger. Come on, motherfucker, come fuck with my paintings, right? See if you could do it. I might even do that challenge, man. I might even put a painting out there and I'll have all the art forgers of the world, see if they could get me, man. That'd be great.
Yeah, that's so cool. And
yeah.
What's your source of inspiration for your art?
Man, the creator. Yeah, the all-powerful energy that you know, that everything's a part of.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what it is, man, for sure. Because for me, I feel like my mind is, and sometimes this is where where things feel crazy, or you question your sanity, right? Because my mind has become so aware, especially in the last 3 years since I full-time paint. Because before that, I would work a job and then paint at night. So, you know, it was a lot different, you know, because after a job, you're tired, your mind's tired, you know, and so painting it was my getaway. I didn't watch TV. I'd go in the basement and I'd paint for a couple hours, come up, hang out with the family, go to bed. I mean, I did that for the whole time that I've been out of prison, you know. but I couldn't, in the first 4 years, I couldn't get the art going. You know, it was just like there was some sort of wall there. And what that wall was is me not believing in it. You know, like in prison, I never thought about being an artist. I thought about being a writer. I wrote that book, Kane's Dagger, 700 pages. I mean, I wrote 4 screenplays, stuff nobody's read. That was where my mind was, you know. I helped dude write this book, The Art of Making Money, right? A lot of this stuff is my stuff, my words that he took and put into print. But I didn't get no credit for it because they wouldn't give me the money if I wanted my name on it. So I needed the money to take care of my family while I was in prison. And so I took my name off it, which hurt. That kind of hurt, you know, because I know I had just as much to do with this thing as this cat did. So, you know, yeah, man.
Yeah, that's cool. And what's your main struggle as an artist and creator? What's your main struggle?
Man, I don't know if I don't look at struggles really anymore, you know, like challenges, right?
Yes,
for me, it's more challenges. So most of my challenges are with the people around me, right? Like I'm not ever really, in my mind, I'm always creating, always thinking, always envisioning something, always dreaming, right? I'm always fucking dreaming, man, you know? And even shit off this planet, right? Like I dream crazy dreams, man. Like I don't even dream around here sometimes, you know? I'm hanging out with space aliens on a white tree, man, you know? Fuck, and for real, I have, man, anyway. But, you know, man, I mean, it's challenges, and most of it is people. Especially in my, you know, when I'm learning is the higher you, the more exposure, how can I say this, man? The more you expose yourself to people, and in the art world and in life, if you want to be successful in certain things like acting or music or art, people have to know who you are. And so when you expose yourself so people know who you are, then a lot of times there's a lot of people that will point the bad things out in you. And so here you are, you feel like, man, before people know who you were, that you were a good guy that worked hard, that loved people, that loved life, that created, and you had faults, yeah, but for the most part, the deep core of you, man, you care. And then when you expose yourself and you start seeing people pointing things out at you that you know ain't true, it hurts. And when it happens a lot, and sometimes egos within that crowd start banging, and it's reflected onto you, and you know, so it's the challenge of people. And for me, I've learned that the best way to deal with it is not emotional, right? Being aware of it and then understanding it, that they're not understanding what they're doing, you know? And you have to, that's the point of seeing things in 3-dimensional rather than 2-dimensional, right? 2-dimensionally, you would see it as a personal attack. But to reach higher levels of life, of consciousness, of success or whatever, you have to see things in 3, 4, 5D, man. And what happens now is everybody is so 2D that everything is an attack, or everything has to be defensive, or everybody has to fight against one another. And so everybody's really thinking on a low vibration right now. A lot of people are anyway. I like to believe, and this is what my hope is as an artist. You say, what gives me inspiration? God, Creator, Yahweh, Yeshua, whoever. That's my belief, right? That's who I follow. Like, that's my king. That's my, you know, my hope. But what gets me inspiration, man, is seeing people be alive. Right? Because I truly love people. I truly love my country. I'm a patriot. There's a lot of guys that go to prison, man, that hate their country.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of people in this country that hate their country. But it's not their country that the anger's coming from. It's because of them. I have a lot of reasons to be mad. Mental illness with my mom, my brother in prison on a bogus murder case. My sister tried to kill herself because of our childhood. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Got shot when I was 18, see my friend killed when I was 16. Like, I could give you all kinds of reasons why I could be angry and hateful towards people.
But right now, you be able to change that energy into creating something.
Exactly, man. And not just that, I like feeling happy. I like when I'm at my most creative is when I'm loving the most. When I'm feeling my brothers, when I'm feeling my people around me, because I'm an empath, I feel people. I'm getting better at putting the people around me that love me back. See, that's where I went wrong for a little while. I was loving in an old world with old friends who weren't loving me back. Now, the people that are around me, I know love me back. And now it's even making me more of like, let's do this.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
And I believe it could spread. I could believe that could spread throughout this whole world, I hope.
And what's your main desire then, as a creator?
As a creator, I mean, for me, I always want to like break the limits. Like when I first started painting on canvas, the dude told me, the teacher in prison, I took the class and he wanted me to paint a flower and I quit after 2 days. I'm like, man, I'm not painting flowers in prison, And like 3 weeks later, he comes out and he's like, hey, man, he said, man, why'd you quit the class? And I said, I don't want to paint no flowers, And he's like, well, he said, you can paint whatever you want. He said, man, I was watching how you were mixing the colors, man, and you got like you're natural with it. Because I took it for like 2 days and I was jamming, And I said, well, man, can I paint what I want to paint? And he's like, yeah, sure, man. I was like, well, I want to paint money. I want to paint some money, man, And that's why, and he's like, well, money. He goes, that's really hard, man. You never even painted before. And I said, man, bro, I got time. You show me the steps, I'll follow through. Took a year to do, but that painting was badass. 1896 educational series. It was history instructing youth. I'll show you a picture of it. Beautiful piece, man. Oil, right? 10,000 lines. Took me 3 months to fucking do. I could be a doctor, bro, because I got like this straight. I one-haired paintbrush, man. I sat there for 3 months. It's like got 10,000 lines. It's insane. Detail is insane. One of my favorite paintings was my first one, man. That first one was the most beautiful to me. I got a lot of beautiful art, man. I got art all over the place. But that first one was like that special one. And it blew everyone away too. And then I just kept painting in there. But yeah.
So as a creator, what's your main desire? To show the world how to change that? This madness? Or what do you have in mind? What's your purpose? Why are you doing this?
I mean, for me, I hope that my life, when people see it, right, that it'll inspire them, in which I know it already has, right? That whether you've been to prison 3 times, never went to school, this is why I love this country, okay? This is why I hope people start to love each other again, all right? And love our country, love what we have. There's some people in part of the world that don't have anything, nothing, right? I've lived with nothing. There's a lot of people who are mad right now that never lived with nothing, right? Like I've met people who have everything, but they're mad. When you live with nothing, it's hard to be mad when you have something. I've lived with nothing. I was in a cell for 9 months, man. Like going in your bathroom, man, lock the door, don't come out for 9 months. That's living with nothing. Right? So, again, could have a reason to be angry at the country for doing that to me. For doing that to people even now. People buried in Colorado in the federal penitentiary there. Underground for the rest of their life. I'd rather them just pop me in the head, man. Don't do that to me. But that's what they're doing right now. People are buried, man. No one's bitching about that. But I did 9 months, man. So this right here, to me, I trip out on why everyone's angry. You got a car, you got a house, you got food, your kids healthy. Everyone's fighting over politics, which is really bizarre to me. Because those cats they never did nothing for me. They always took shit. When we were in prison, They would take the weights, they take the fucking college, they take this, they take that. Change the healthcare. Well, I don't think they're going to do the same out here. Well, they did it when I was in there. Why would they do it out here? Fuck, why? I seen it happen now. I mean, really, that's where my anger goes at, you know, like watching people let these cats out there get them angry. Get them fighting against us, you know, black and white.
So what's your purpose as
my
a creator?
purpose is to get into people's minds, man, that they could see that no matter where you come from or what you've been through or what even the present holds, that you can make it, man. That you can make a difference in your life just by buying the cat behind you a cup of coffee. My point is, I want my art and I want my life, when it's done, could be done tomorrow on my birthday, right? Someone told me that on my birthday at midnight, that was it for me. Freaked me out a little bit, right? Tomorrow, right? But I want my art, man, in my life to show people, man, that we are a very powerful being, that our minds are brilliant. And when you live in a life of creation and not destruction, that anything is possible. That's what I want my art to do. That's what I want my art to convey. That when they see it, they know, damn, this dude right here went through some shit. And the shit, everything that he went through created something beautiful. And you know what? If I'm going through something right now, I can still create something beautiful. That's what I want people to feel with my art. That's what I want people to feel when they hear me or watch me or whatever it is. That it ain't just my art, it is my life, the art of my life. The way I speak, the way I write, the way I paint, the way that I am with people, the way I love. It's all art, man. It's all creation. Yeah, creating a new friendship, creating a new friendship, creating this, creating that. When you're in a creative mode in every aspect of your life, you'll see it change beautifully, even your mind. So yeah, man, that's what inspires me.
That's amazing. Let's talk a little bit more about business side. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what was your selling process? How you sell your art?
You know, that it's a science for sure, right? When I first decided to, so when I was in prison, like I said, I painted. I had about 8 paintings. When I first got out, I had my first show probably about 9 months after I was released, and the show was you know, it was a success. I mean, a bunch of people came out, but I didn't sell anything, right? And the art was, I thought it was beautiful, right? It's oils, hand paintings, ones I did in prison. And so people would come up and they tell me how great it is, but at the end of the night, you know, I sold a couple prints, you know? And then I think I had maybe 2 other shows after that, and it kind of turned out the same way. And I think I might have sold 2 or 3, right? But it wasn't enough to live on, right? And so I kind of just gave up on it. I said, man, this is a real tough game, right? This art game, you know, and I didn't understand it. Plus I had just got out of prison, so I really didn't even understand how to even be social yet, you know? And so I let it go, and then when the time came to where I got back into it, you know, there was a lot of things that happened, right? From, you know, the first 4 years of freedom. You know, almost 2 years afterwards, I almost went back into the streets. My son saved my life, and this older cat, Joseph Cacciatore, big time realtor, gave me a shot, you know, and I worked my ass off for him for like 9 months, and it changed my whole life. Not just, I mean, he had a building called Lacuna Lofts and it was an art loft. It was beautiful, and his son started it, and it was a really beautiful thing that his son started. And you know, the old man took a liking to me, and he gave me the intern there. And they were bringing artists from all over the world there to do big murals, and I was the setup man, right? I'd get their materials, I would do the bass for them. You know, I'd make sure they had the lift, and that whole summer, or really like 6 months of it, was just awesome because I'm learning like from all the best muralists in the world, right? From everywhere. And then that project was over with, but I felt strong, right? Like I felt like I could make it now. And I ended up going and painting houses, you know, right after that, doing good. And it kind of fell into the normal life for probably the first time of my life. You know, had my baby, Da Vinci, you know, my wife, Serge, she had our first child. And so I'm getting up at, 6 in the morning, going to work at 7, getting off at 3. And, I'd go downstairs, paint for a couple hours, hang out with the family. And I did that for almost a year, and I was happy, But there was a part of me that wanted more, but for the most part, I was content. And then a series of events happened. It comes in threes, and it did. I mean, I lost my job, dude that I was working with, he kind of had, somewhat of an ego issue, and me and him clashed a bit, and then I borrowed my car out, dude cracked the oil pan. Now I lost my car, and then my house burned down. So literally it was like in that order: job, car, house. But the house was the thing that really like shook me, right? When I lost my job, I was already looking for another one. And I started, doing my own shit, and I was doing pretty good. When my car, got jacked up, I ended up going to get me just an old Ford Explorer, man. And I was painting anyway, so I didn't give a shit. I had a BMW, I missed it, but whatever. But when my house burned, man, and I lost everything, that was the thing that like, whoa, man. Like, what did I do? What did I do so bad? And and I was actually living normal, right? Like I wasn't thinking about crime. I just wanted to be with my family, that was it. But there was a painting I did of my brother on some mental illness. Someone had called, said that he had died, and I had freaked out. And, I probably got that phone call 2 or 3 times in the last, whatever with him, because he's a homeless guy, And so I did this painting that was like, schizophrenic dude, And he would always tell me that my art was going to be the thing that did something, right? And I never believed him, right? I gave up on it, man. I wasn't into it, like that. Like I was going to be this artist, and sell paintings, take care of my family. Like it just didn't. Even when I was working with Cacciatore and helping the muralists, I seen what they went through as artists, and I was around it a lot, and I seen how deceptive it can be. Right. And then when I say deceptive, I mean in the business sense, right? People have this dream, they're going to do this art and they're going to make money and It's maybe like acting or music or whatever, but it's tough, man. It's tough to get through that ceiling, And so when my house burned down and we were finally allowed to go in, and I never knew what shock was, right? Like you hear people getting in shock, and I've even stood in front of a judge and gave me 7 years, and I didn't really feel shock, right? I felt like, damn, I'm fucked, right? I felt that, but not like shock. And when I came to the house when the marshal called me to get there, the fire marshal, and I pulled up and I seen the house just burnt up. Man, I went into shock. Now I know what shock is, man. It's where your brain does not work. It gets cloudy, and you're just shut down. And I shut down for like 3 hours, just tripping. Like, here it is, man. I've been fighting through every challenge thrown at me. And now the biggest one is you just took my house. Like, it was like something was trying to get me back into printing money. That's what it felt like to me. Like something was just wanted to push me right back into it. And I kept fighting it, kept fighting it, and kept fighting it. And when the firemen let us go back into the house, everything's messed up, water everywhere, holes in the roof from them axing through. I mean, it was a mess, right? But that painting was in the corner untouched. I still have it. I still have it. And man, something, man, hit me, man, you know? Like, I just felt like like that, what my bro was telling me all this time, that's what I needed to do. And, you know, I caught, you know, I worked hard, you know, from that point forward, a couple cats gave me a shot to paint full time, you know? And so I started I wasn't doing anything except painting for about 3 months, had about 4 pieces done. I was a money artist, man, but I didn't want to paint money no more, right? Because I knew I was so much more than that. Like, people don't even really understand my oils now, right? I mean, some of them got 300 layers on them, for real. Take one to the museum, they'll be like, what the fuck, man, right? Like, I got crazy oil paintings that nobody has any clue about. People don't even really know my art. They see it looks beautiful, but they don't understand what's really behind it. And I've never really talked about it, you know, because I've had people steal my shit, you know. So I don't really want to talk about it because, you know, that's what happens. But one day when I'm gone, people will analyze it and get into it and be like, holy fuck, is this what he did? Is this how he changed the metals to have the light hit a certain way? Like, I've done so much crazy shit to my stuff. But when I walked in and seen that, man, I something happened, man, you know, and I got some people that believed in me and gave me a chance to work, right? And so I went to Art Basel, man. I loaded up my truck, went down there. First 2 nights sucked, couldn't get nothing done. And then all of a sudden, man, it just hit. It was like magic. Met someone who put me in a place. I sold all 4 paintings. I ended up meeting Natalia Soul, who worked for Arnold Schwarzenegger's charity. She loved my story. She loved my art. She loved everything. And she said, man, you know, we're doing things for kids and just wondering, you know, how do you feel about that? I said, man, kids I love more than anything in the world. I grew up in the projects, poor, single mom, didn't have nothing. So if there's anything I could do to help the children, man, I'm down. And man, she put me in some really interesting places. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, he gave me a shot. Even if he don't know, like, he let me come into his home and I had to go through all kinds of crazy security clearance and all, you know, they even when I got to his house with the art, man, they held me up in the back and fingerprinted me. I'm like, shit, I'm going to an art show and getting fingerprinted. What the fuck, right? At Arnold's house, right? It's really crazy, right? But he don't even know what he did for me, right? Just him letting me come there. I sold like, man, 408,000, ended up giving him like 180 out of it. I think that year, altogether it was like 230 that I raised for him, for the kids. And it gave me, what I say about that moment that Arnold let me come to his house was that, and he don't know this, but it wasn't that I needed someone like him to do things for me, right? That moment he gave me allowed me to do for myself. That's what was amazing about that moment that he don't get, that he don't know about. He'll get it when I tell him, because I never really got the chance to tell him what he did for me. But I took that money I made at his house that night and I went and opened up my gallery in Chicago. And the reason I did that was because I was trying to get in galleries, but they were being all like snooty because I'm a felon or, you know, money or whatever the reason being, man. The galleries, and then if the gallery did take it, they wanted like 50, 60%, man. I'm like, no way. So I busted the way the art game is done. I said, you know what, I'm gonna do it myself. And so I went and opened my own gallery. And then I didn't sell anything online. You couldn't, for 3 years I've been out, you can't buy my stuff online. I made people come to my gallery to get it. And sometimes it hurt, right? I wanted to sell stuff, man. But I also knew the science behind it. Just like I dissected the 100, I started dissecting the art world. I started being stingy with my art. Never did a run of 100 of anything. Never did, you know, I kept it real little amount. If I left right now, there's maybe 300 pieces out there. That's it. I could have done thousands, man, and thousands, but there's not. And so I did that on purpose, man, you know? And what that allowed me to do, and so like, even now, you know, as an artist, you know, you have to find value in yourself. You have to be able to believe in your work enough to ask for something for it. What is your value? Is it 50 an hour, 100 an hour, 100,000, a million? You know, a lot of artists, you know, they don't know their value. And so you have to know your value first, right? So like I have a standard, right? If I put 40 hours into a painting, I won't take no less than 10 grand. No less, right? And I think that's super fair because you're getting 35 years of experience. And that's why some of my paintings, I'll charge 100,000 or 200,000. Man, I'm about to put 500,000 on one of my paintings and it could go with me till I die. I could care less if anyone ever buys it. For real. So you have to be able to do that, right? You have to be able to stand up for your art. You have to believe in it. But here's the thing though, I give my art everything too. I'm not out at the clubs every night. I'm with my family. I take my family, my wife, Da Vinci and Love, my son, I take them wherever I go because they keep me coming home at night. I'm not out with every woman, man. I'm with my wife. I'm with my babies. I'm not out getting all drunk and stupid. I'm at home with my wife and my babies and thinking about what next I could create. What next could I do to help someone? Right? That's where my brain is, man. So to tell our, you know, the business side is, man, you got to believe in it. You got to work hard at it. Got to make it beautiful. You know, don't put 10 hours into it and think you're going to sell it for 100,000. Now there's cats that could do that. They went to the fancy art schools and studied underneath the fancy master and then got a fancy gallery and publisher. They fucking put them out there. Not everyone's done that. And that's usually who's at the top. That's what I'm saying. I've sold more art quietly than any artist probably on the planet. And I could care less if anyone knew. As long as I'm able to live up in the hills and drive an SRT, man, I'm cool, man. You know, fuck it, you know? So for me, man, it's like break the mold, man. Don't do what everyone else is doing. Don't find that different niche. You know, like with my art, when you walk into my showings, I don't just do the same piece, man, right? Like I see a lot of artists, man, they'll find that thing that makes them money and then they'll just stick with it and burn it right out, right? And I had that moment when I sold my four paintings in Miami. I'm like, damn, I got that thing, man. I'm gonna go. And I went back and I did up to like 18. And I sold every last one of them quick too. But when I got to 18, man, I was getting burnt out on it. And I was like, man, I don't wanna keep doing the same shit over and over and over again. And then I flipped it up. Then I switched it again and I switched it. Then I got real fucking manic, man. I got like 20 different styles now, you know? And they're all got their own little unique thing, man, but it's all different. As an artist, as a creator, man, you got to explore, you got to experiment, you got to try new things. If you think you're going to become the top of something, and that's in anything, and keep doing the same mediocre thing that everyone else is doing, then you got something different, man. You got to lead the way. Like, people take a lot of my ideas. I've seen it. I've seen Mr. Brainwash snatch my gas mask right here. I've been doing this shit since in prison. I see Mr. E snatch my motherfucking money when I was in Chicago, you know, making all that money off it. I didn't care though. I decided to do something different. And I've learned now that it's actually kind of fun when people do that. Cause then it makes me more want to change. So, hey, follow this, see if you could do this, you know? So my recommendation to all artists, man, is let your mind go. Don't stay in the same lane. Explore, man. You know, I painted everything from horses to money to architecture to clouds to seas to oceans. I've painted everything you could to humans, to faces, to dogs. And I'm really good at money, right? Like I could paint the shit out of some money, right? Maybe not so much, you know, a turtle, right? But I can still paint a turtle pretty badass. I'll put money on him. I put money on his back, right? But I like to paint everything, you know? And so I don't, you know, as an artist, you have to live without fear. You have to live in peace, and you have to, you know, I don't believe in the starving artist. I don't believe in the depressed artist, man. I believe in the inspired and excited and the thrilled and the content artist. That's what I believe in, man, you know? And that's what I tell people, man. Find your creativity and run with that shit, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. And what was the most expensive art you've ever sold in your career?
75,000 so far. Yeah. I told myself I'm gonna sell a piece for $1 million one day, you know? I'm gonna get it, you know? I mean, the thing is with selling, I don't ever solicit my art, right? Even like online, I've never put it online. And was even stingy with making people come to the gallery, you know? But the thing is with like selling, I believe in telling the story of the piece and letting the person feel me and then let them make the decision. I don't ever tell them a price. I don't ever ask them if they want to buy it. Like if I'm done talking, say, well, would you like to buy it? Hell no. I let them make the decision. I'll give them the best of me. And if the best of me is enough, they'll buy it. If it's not, then someone else will. And I have to believe that, you know? And so we don't have to sell ourselves. Let the art sell itself, right? Give them something beautiful and then let people come to it. And let it just, you know, be free. My paintings, it's where they find their homes. And every time I see a painting like enters a home, like even in here with the black and white, right? It found its home, right? But that's been with so many of my paintings. I got a Frank Sinatra where that's where it belongs. I see it, you know? It's beautiful there, you know? I got paintings all over the world in beautiful homes, mansions, and I've walked in and seen it hanging, and like that is the beauty of it, right? And they belong though. You could tell like they chose, that's where they wanted to be, you know? So art, man, is alive. And if you let it be free, that shit'll go, man, right? It'll go. But you gotta let it be free, you know? And just let it sell itself. That's how I sell my art, man. I don't ever ask anyone you want to buy it. I could give a shit less. Matter of fact, I've told people no, right? Because I didn't like their character, you know? The energy felt wrong. And I told them some crazy price. Thank God they didn't say, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I told this one cat 100,000 for something that wasn't worth 10, you know? I said, fuck it, man. Because I just didn't want them to have it, man, you know? So I think, you know, and being patient is another thing, right? You got to be patient. You got to be able to hold tight. And things will get tight. And you can't panic, you know? I mean, that's what used to always lead me back to the money, is I would get in a jam and I would panic and boom, I'd go to do, you know? So I've learned to control that panicking, you know?
Oh yeah, this is exactly where a lot of creators struggling, because while they create and they making really good money, everything good, right? But when they have to pay the bills and they see on the bank accounts and they don't have enough money, they starting searching another jobs and doing something, whatever. It's not related to the creation, right?
No.
And this is like, what your advice here? You just have to stick to it and believe into this.
You have to, man. There's times, man, where, especially having my own gallery, my bills were probably like around $8,700 to $10,000 a month, right? And I'd have those 30, 40, $50,000 months, but then I might have a month where I made nothing, you know? And it was always kind of that roller coaster ride, you know? And so you had to learn how to be able to, when that month you're not making nothing, you got to be able to say, okay, you know, next month I'll be all right. You can't start doubting it, you know? And what's interesting is every time I've gotten close to like failing, and I just kept getting up, kept painting, kept taking calls, kept answering emails, kept getting up, kept doing, you know, then bam, it happened. Right now, instead of becoming depressed and going and getting drunk and stop painting and that way, because that's what could happen, right? If things aren't working your way, we tend to find things that suppress that feeling, right? I've learned to work through it, work harder, paint longer, more emails. I do the opposite. Rather than getting depressed and stop doing things, I get aggressive and attack things. And that's what's made the difference, because I won't quit. I won't quit. You know, when I was making money, I had that in me where I wouldn't quit. I tested thousands of papers, man. Thousands. It was the determination to succeed, you know? And now my determination to succeed is to be free. Right? I was in prison for 12 years, man. Freedom is so beautiful. That's why it pains me now, you know, that freedom is under struggle right now because of things. And people, that's again another thing, man. Unless you haven't had it, you don't know what you lost. Right? When you have nothing, then you realize the things you do, how valuable they are, you know? And right now, freedom to me is like the most highest thing, you know, to stay free. You know, I won't even fucking jaywalk right now, man, you know? Like I'm like the most ideal citizen there is, except I don't exist still. I still live like a ghost, man. I can't help it, man, you know? It's just my way. But, you know, I love people. I love creating. I love our country. I love our world. And my prayer and my hope is that through my art and through my life that people will start to feel the same, to love one another, to love creation, and to love our world. And if we can do those three things, the aliens might let us off this fucking planet. They might say, okay, the humans have got smart enough now. We can let them off now, right?
And this exactly can happen only with the creation and the creativity,
exactly.
Right?
That's the
because
only
right
way.
now, I think a lot of things like social media, news, bad happening, everything, they like trying to put us into like box and think as a box, right? And because of that, it's like hard to create something cool, right? And innovate here. So what do you think here about the social media and the internet and digital media and news?
Man, I be fighting with AI all the time, dog. You know what I'm saying? Because AI does like 250 billion a second. I be talking to my phone because it listens to me, so I might as well talk to it, right? The phone truly does listen to you, man. I say something, man, all of a sudden a fucking ad pops up, right? So I'm like, okay, if it's gonna listen to me, I'm gonna really fuck with it a little bit, right? You know? So the other day I was like, yeah, you work at 250 billion, I work at 500 billion a second, motherfucker, right? But I'm always fucking with it, right? I was dancing for it today. I was like an electric robot, right? You know, because it's watching me on the camera. But, you know, technology, man, I think it's fast. I don't think humanity yet was stable enough to have the technology. And it's clear to see we've created nuclear, dropped a bomb. We created, you know, there's computers, and now everyone's plugged in and no one knows how to be social anymore. I mean, I've like tried to talk to kids and they can't even hold a conversation with you. They can't look you in the eye. You know, it's like the humanity is being sucked out by the technology, and it's just sad for me to see, man, you know? And like even, you know, even my team, they get upset with me because like I never gave a shit about my Instagram or Facebook because I sell my art through personal relationships. I don't think I've ever sold, I mean, maybe a couple pieces online. But again, I make people come by me anyway, right? So I never really gave a shit about it. You know, and I'm a little bit angry with it. You know, I mean, that's probably the only thing I feel towards it is that like opinions and narratives, man, are like, they're stunting our growth. You know, when people are getting fed fear and fed this and fed that and fed politics and just constantly being fed what's wrong with shit, you can't ever see what's right with shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things that are right, man. And as long as, you know, the country allows this narrative to be set by whoever the fuck is running it, then, you know, it's going to be a problem, right? There's going to be racism. There's going to be poverty. There's going to be hatred. There's going to be this because the narrative is being fed that. You know, how often can you turn on the news, man? They're talking about how an African-American and a Caucasian came together and did something. Never. I don't think I've ever seen it much, man. You know? And these are the types of things, man, that need to be shown. Man, I got a lot of African-American friends. I got Asian friends. I got every friend. Right? My wife's Asian.
Russian friend.
I got Russian friends. My friends are humans. Humans. But when the narrative is fed that you're this and you're that and you're that, then you miss the point that we're fucking human, man. We're fucking human. We're all human. But right now the narrative is being fed that, you know, you're this and you're that. You're an anti-vaxxer. You're this. Or you're a liberal. You're a fucking conservative. Man, motherfuckers, we're humans, man. But we're treating each other like animals. We're treating each other, you know. And so I'm gonna get off it because, you know, where my mind. But you asked me a question, so I'm.
Yeah.
But here's the beautiful thing. And so let me get to the beautiful thing, though, because what I'm seeing now, and I told my beautiful wife Sarah this morning. I said, because I had a really beautiful breakfast with a gentleman this morning, right? And we had great conversation, and the conversation was about creating and love and you know, living life, right? And since I've been in LA, I've been here like 3 months, the group of people that I'm starting to form around me are all feeling love. Right, so I had this epiphany today, right? You know, I said, wait a minute, Art. The more that you are meeting people and showing them you care and showing them you love, you possibly might have the effect of where now they're going and doing it, and then they're going and doing it. And so I really do believe that the art in our life and what we're doing here right now, me even speaking to you, or me opening up my life to people for them to see that, man, life is good, man. Life, we're here right now. What are you gonna do with it?
And let's create something great.
Let's create something, man. You know, and that's what we're doing. We're creating something great right now. You know?
That's amazing.
And I'm gonna fuck their head up with the 3 penny trick. But yeah, anyway, man, you know, like I said, dog, I'm excited right now. This is good times, man. Yeah. You know, for an artist to drag his family across the country during a pandemic when there were riots going on, like, that's insane, right?
Yeah.
Right? And most people said I was insane for doing that shit, you know? But damn, am I glad I did, because this city has been beautiful to me. LA, all my friends in Chicago were like, you're crazy, they're rioting, they're this, there's homeless, there's wildfires, like, man. And I'm like, damn, there really is, you know what I'm saying? but you know what? Fuck it, let's go, you know? And we left, man. Sarah jumped and we grabbed Da Vinci and Love and we hit the road, man, you know? And we came here, and man, the people that I have been meeting are beautiful, man. And I'm loving LA. And I'm loving LA. So I'm gonna love LA to death until LA loves me, and it's been loving me back. But imagine, right? That one, you know, coming here during that time and feeling such love. And then I have, man, LA has loved the shit out of me. From meeting you, to meeting Charlie Chocolate, to Ellie, to Sean, who just helped me with the Beverly Hills thing, to Matt, to Josh right here, to Craig. I mean, I could go on and on with cats in LA that showed me love, man. And it's a special thing, you know? It's a special thing. And so, you know, we're gonna do some special shit here. You know?
Fuck yeah.
Here we go.
What would give younger self an advice? What would advice give you younger self?
Print 20s. Print 20s, man, motherfucker. Don't do hundreds. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I'd have told myself. Nah, man.
That's so funny.
What would I tell myself, man? Just be you. I wouldn't have changed the shit. Live your life. Just live it through, man. You know, because it's been amazing. I've squeezed every fucking drop that I could out of this life, even in prison. They locked me in a fence. I wrote a fucking 700-page book. I lived in that fantasy land for 5 years, you know what I'm saying? I had a wife, kids, angels, demons, all kinds of shit in that book, man, you know? That was my world for 5 years. I wasn't in prison. Everything about life is squeeze it, man. Squeeze every drop.
That time basically was in the creation mode, somewhere in the creation environment, because you started create right over there, like big stuff, like the art, real art. Yeah. Because you basically tried yourself in printing money with using technologies and all this stuff, but it's basically a limitation, right? When you start to do the art, like writing, like painting, right? This is where you be able to open your mind, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, even the print money you had to create, because you had to, they're using $100 million machine. I'm using $100 machine. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to figure out how to use things to replicate what they did.
This is crazy.
Yeah, it was awesome, right? And I did it, right? And so, that was creation. That was figuring out something, right? And creating something to create something, right? Money, right?
Is it possible to see the difference between your money and government money?
In the beginning, yeah. I was printing for years, but at the end, because my money always evolved. Like I was always trying new shit, and maybe this kind of chemical, or this type of ink. Like I was always trying different things, but when I was at the high point of it, man, even me, it was tough. Like it was something else, man. It was something special, But I was a young kid, didn't know what the fuck I had, Like, man, I had a fucking print machine, you know what I'm saying? Crazy, at 30 years old, man, and didn't have a fucking clue what to do with it, man, Except just drive around the country and buy baby clothes. That's what I did, man, Fuck, man,
Yeah, guys.
That's what I did, man, But, nah, man, I'd tell myself, just live, man. Live and believe, I think that's the thing is I believe like no other. I believe in people. I believe in me. I believe in creation, right? So just believe, man. And then when you believe, it's easy to fucking follow, right? When you believe in something, man, it's easy to follow it. When you don't believe, when you don't follow, right?
Exactly.
So once you believe in something, man, then follow it. Follow it all the way to leads to that dream, So, yeah, man.
Yeah, Arthur, thank you so much.
All right, bud.
It was a pleasure to having you here. Thank you so much for joining for this podcast, and let's create something big together.
Let's do it, dog. Let's do it, man. All right, peace out.